So to create a G chop chord, we start out with our regular open G, and then we add our third finger, our ring finger, to the 5th fret of the D string. So it goes from, and then our pinky, and this is the stretch, to the 7th fret of the G string. So instead of having, we have, and it's really important to make sure that all of those notes are ringing out. So if you can play each note individually and they're coming out clean, then you're getting the idea down. The secret to chop chords is muting the strings. To practice this, start by playing all the strings and letting them ring out. And now notice that once you're playing them and letting them ring out, if you take the pressure out of your fingers but leave them on the strings, all the notes will stop. And now to get that chop sound, you're going to make this amount of time that the strings ring out very short. So it's coordination between your right and left hand, so as soon as your right hand plays the notes, your left hand is almost instantaneously going to stop pushing down and therefore muting the strings. To practice this, start really slowly and play the strings and let them ring out, and then take the pressure off. Let them ring out, take the pressure off, and slowly shorten the time that you let the strings ring. After a while, you'll get the chop sound you're looking for. And it's that chop sound that puts the driving force behind bluegrass. You can also experiment with different rhythms in your right hand. For example, try playing a low note as in place of what the bass would be playing, and then playing the chop chord. So you'll play a low G, or the low G string, which is on the 7th fret, so it's a D note, and then follow that with a chop. So the bass would be going, and then the chops would be coming in between the notes of the bass in a bluegrass band. So you can do both by playing. The same concept works to make the C chop chord. Start with an open C chord. Add your 3rd finger to the 5th fret of the G string, and make sure not to play the open E string. And then, using muting, we get. If you played the open E, you wouldn't get the full chop sound. By moving the C chop chord up 2 frets, we go from C to C sharp to D, and now you have a D chop chord. Using these 3 new chop chords, we can play the chords to You Are My Sunshine. Instead of using this for the D chop chord, we can also use these 2 same notes, and instead of using your 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the G string, we can use the 3rd finger as the high D of these 2 notes, and use our pointer finger, which is now free, on the 2nd fret of the G string. And the same muting technique applies, and we get a new D chop chord. We can see where this D chop chord came from looking at the C chord again. From the C, we have G, E, C, And now if we move, concentrating on those 3 notes, if we move them all up 1 fret, we go from G to A flat or G sharp, from E to F, and from C to C sharp or D flat. So instead of C, we have C sharp. It's just moving everything up 1 fret, and then moving up 1 more fret, we get A, F sharp, and D, the 3 notes of the D chord. We can use the same ideas to go from a G chop chord to an A chop chord. G, up 1 fret is G sharp or A flat, up another fret is A. Like with the D chop chord, we can change around our fingers and get a new A chop chord. So we'll leave these 2 high notes and instead play them with our 2nd and 3rd fingers, and use our 1st finger here to go across the G and the D strings at both at the 2nd fret to make A and E. Now using the same muting technique, we have an A chop chord. Or we can use the other A chop chord. By shifting around these 2 chord shapes we've just learned, we can create any major chord that we'd like. For example, if you want to create a C chop chord that's different from this one right here, go, for example, to the A chop chord with your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the G and D strings. Go up 1 fret, that's B flat, another fret, B natural, and 1 more fret, and we have C natural major chord, chop chord. And now we can hear that that chord is the same notes as this C chop chord.